As many of you know, I have a bird feeder in my garden just outside my window, and I keep it stocked up. And quite often I'm looking out for interesting birds. I even got myself a Niger seed feeder to attract the goldfinches, and indeed they did come for a few weeks, and they all disappeared again. I don't tend to take so much notice of sparrows. They are, after all, 2 a penny. The phrase 2 a penny comes from this passage in the Gospel. Can you not buy 2 sparrows for 1 penny? Sparrows, after all, are not particularly remarkable birds. They're not attractive like goldfinches or even blue tits. And their song is just a bit of a kind of shout, unlike, say, a blackbird or a thrush. And it's the sparrow that Jesus chooses to refer to today. Not one falls to the ground without your Father knowing. God cares about the sparrows. God is concerned with the sparrows. That's because God, of course, created them. Yes, they came to be through, we understand, various natural processes, but that various natural processes come to be because God, in the first place, holds the whole of being in creation. Creation isn't something God did at the beginning and then kind of washed his hands of, as it were. No, God always and continues to hold the whole of creation in being. And he cares about all of it. He loves it into existence. And if that's true of sparrows, Jesus says, it must be even more true of us. Every hair on your head has been counted, says Jesus. Now that's going to be a bit challenging at the moment, as many of us, myself included, have got rather more hair than we would normally have. Again, we couldn't even begin to count our own hairs, even those who have lost a few of them. God knows us better than we know ourselves, that means. And so the encouragement, don't worry, is based on the fact that God holds us all in being and knows us all intimately. Do not fear, he says, those who can destroy the body. Parts of creation, sparrows included, which may fall to the ground, are not permanent. Our bodies aren't permanent. Fear, he says, those who can destroy both body and soul in hell. Who is that? It's not Jesus Christ, who we heard in the second reading, died for us, gave his life for us. Although I suppose he can, he doesn't want to. I think the person that can destroy body and soul is ourselves, by thinking the precise opposite, that we hold our own creation in our own hands, that we are in charge of our lives. We like to be in charge, but in fact, we remember and we're reminded by this passage that we are not. I saw a passage once, it was an advert, wasn't it? It was, God exists, but it's not you, therefore don't worry. Just reminding ourselves that God is in control of the world, not in a way that he's meddling at every moment and fiddling about with fine details, but rather that the whole of creation is held in being by him. and it is being drawn towards him. Even with all its problems and difficulties, even with the suffering in the world, yet all is being drawn to him. And if we focus our minds and our hearts and our lives on him, then we have nothing to fear. Paul says elsewhere, for those who love God and are called by his name, everything works out for the good. This is the Paul, remember, who's been persecuted, chased, stoned, everything. So it's not as though Paul is speaking from some kind of rather luxurious ivory tower here. So even COVID-19, all the other things that have been happening in our world, even the disruption, the problems of racism, the problems of refugees, of course we care about these things because God cares about these things. But we also trust in him that just as he brings the resurrection out of the death of Jesus Christ, that he too will bring all things to their conclusion. The injunction not to worry is not an injunction not to do anything. But sometimes worry, concern, fear, all those things get in the way of our acting. We say, it's all too much. We say, I can't do anything. We say, it's all a bit too scary. We close ourselves in to our own little boxes because we can't face it. Do not worry, says Jesus. Place your trust in him. Every hair on your head has been counted. You're worth more than hundreds of sparrows.